friends of film, and everyone in between. Welcome to the Film Folklore Podcast. I am Jed Props, and I am joined today by Heather Ray Costumes.
Hey there.
And Justin Sound.
Hi.
Zoe and Chris could not be with us today. And let's see, Justin, where is Zoe?
She's with Chris.
Oh, and Heather Ray, you know where Chris is, right?
Well, I didn't realize Zoe was with him, but I would have hopped on if I would have known. He's like in Azerbaijan.
Oh.
Yeah, and he's went for a camel race.
Which
tracks. Seems like a really committed to camel racing kind of thing. Because I don't even know if there are camels in Azerbaijan.
There are now.
Right now, yeah. Of course.
This all makes sense because Chris, on multiple occasions, without prompting, has talked at length about how he loves the smell of a camel. And I thought he was talking about the cigarettes. And then he was like, no, like a real breathing camel. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. And then
they do have a specific smell.
Yeah. And he was like, you got to count the number of humps. That affects the smell. And he knew a lot. It
always does.
He knew a lot. Yeah. Anyway, well, that sounds fun. Good for them. All right.
I think he just wanted to wear the costume, honestly.
He is a hump on one of the camels.
He is one of the humps.
All right. So how are y'all? How are y'all doing?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Justin, how are you doing over there?
Excellent.
Sweet. Y'all can't see us, but Justin very kindly brought this a wonderful king cake from Lafayette.
It's so good.
I'm going to butcher that name. Is it Meshes?
Meshes.
Yeah. M-E-C-H-E. Shout out to that being very delicious.
Yes.
It tastes like a cinnamon roll.
Yeah, it was like a cinnamon roll that
right?
had been stuffed with amazing.
Yeah, with cream cheese and with king cake stuff.
This is the go-to, or one of the go-to spots for king cakes out there. Yeah.
Well, thank you for bringing it in.
Yeah.
I have not had nearly enough king cake this Mardi Gras season.
Glad you like that.
Yeah. Thanks.
There's only because this I just remembered, but there's a Lafayette bakery that is working with a weed company who is now based in Memphis. I think they're originally from here, but because of the law changes, they moved. But basically, the Lafayette bakery is making the king cakes, and then the Memphis company is infusing them. So you can order. I believe they're pretty expensive.
Bourbon-soaked king cake?
No, weed.
Weed.
Like THC.
Soaked. Got it.
Is it Keller's or?
It's not Keller's.
Twins?
drunken cheese.
It could be
king
Twins.
Cake sounds pretty good.
It started as a NOLA.com article, and then I went from there.
Okay.
So,
I will search.
Yeah. But it was just one of that kind of like, I'd give it a try. I don't know.
Did anyone have any? I did not have any Dong Fong cheesecake or king cake this year.
I didn't do Dong Fong this year. I don't have much of a sweet tooth anymore, so it's like for example, that slice that I just ate was absolutely delicious, and I think I've had enough sugar for an entire week now. So
good for you, man. How'd you get on that train?
Alcohol.
Oh, substitution. Got it.
Did you know there's sugar in whiskey? It's crazy.
It's the perfect alcohol.
Anyways, I'm really excited for our guest today. Not only is he a great guy, very talented, and a fun guest for us, but it's also our first foreign-born guest, and I love his accent, so we'll get to him in a second. But first, I want to do a little segue talk, I suppose we'll call it. And I wanted to ask y'all, how are y'all with like hands-on projects, craft projects around the house? I actually know a little bit about the two of you because Justin was just having to fix a pipe because of the winter storm that came through. Mm-hmm. Heather Ray is always pushing wheelbarrows and things around a la Rocky IV.
I have renovated most of my house at this point. So, yeah, it is a work in progress. And it's amazing what YouTube University can teach you.
That's what you beat me to the next question. I was going to ask, like, how much of y'all's world has been DIY, figuring it out, versus, like, maybe something you actually, like, learned growing up or something?
I'd say, not learned growing up. Any of it, I don't think. But yeah, a lot of it is figuring it out.
The Rocky IV stuff you did learn growing up, though. So that's why
that's true. Yes. That's true. I do often call Jed when I am doing
She's like,
heavy lifting of
I
stones
have this
and
tree
things.
trunk that I need to get hoisted. So
I have a wheelbarrow full of boulders I'm having a Rocky moment.
So he just gave me the idea that somebody's putting stuff into the wheelbarrow, and you're like, "That's a rock." I said boulder.
Not big enough.
But what about you, Justin? Has it been the fun world of home ownership, that figuring it out, or?
Oh yeah, well it's a little bit of half and half. I live currently in the house that I grew up in. So
yeah. I don't think I didn't know
I
that
did
part.
not know that either.
yeah, and we had a handyman growing up, and I wasn't like forced to work with him or anything. But when my brothers and I would get in trouble, my mom and my grandmother would send us to go work with him. You know, as young as we could be.
I'm
safely
surprised you
work.
want to do anything at all if it was used as a punishment.
Well, it was sort of they thought it was a punishment, but the guy, Art, he was a really fun guy to be around, and we did learn a lot from him. That's got a few carpentry skills, under my belt growing up, and nothing masterful or anything like that, but enough to, like fix a pipe, so to say.
Say,
Well, I don't mess
pull
with
siding
plumbing.
off your house and get to a pipe.
Yeah, I had to call a plumber Super Bowl Sunday to come out. That was cheap. Not cheap at all. But it was an easy fix, relatively speaking. So it wasn't $1 gazillion. It was only $1 million.
Oh,
It's
wow.
fine. But, I do want to say we went on to Justin before I could give a shout out to all of my very knowledgeable and generous with their time friends who has also come over and helped me and taught me and all that kind of stuff too.
Wait, you have a compound. Like
I do have a
I
compound.
refer to your house as a compound.
It's kind of a compound.
Like if shit hit the fan and World War III is breaking out, you would be on the list of places I would go to.
You're welcome. Come on.
Because you're already set up in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Like the only thing I haven't seen yet at Heather Ray's place is like it's for her to reveal. It's like, and this is my reservoir. We're completely self-sufficient here.
It's coming. I'm clearing out my backyard for for those purposes.
That's what I'm working on too.
Yep.
And then this
Rain
is
barrels.
This is the bunker where all the guns are.
For real. Those are in my bomb shelter.
But yeah, you know how I was to bury the whole Winnebago under the ground? Like, the reason asking that, as the title of the episode might suggest, is that today we have our first construction rep. And so, I kind of curious for y'all's takes and questions for the episode, because, when I was typing this up, I was realizing that within our group, I'm the only one that actually is art department adjacent, and so I was curious to see like what kind of interactions y'all have had with the construction department or that kind of world, but we'll get into it when we go.
The closest interactions I've had on set with construction people were, can you drill a hole in this wall for me so I can pass a cable through it?
Right. Yeah, being on set. I mean, I don't know any construction people really, unless I know them.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, it's not even a construction person, because those guys generally aren't on set.
Right,
We
exactly.
are. Yeah.
Well,
unless I'm walking through
or
them building the set.
I would say, or they're working on a different area that we're not shooting in,
Right.
and then say you're talking to Chris to go shut them up, because we're about to roll and their tools are making a lot of noise. That would make sense.
Yeah,
but which I actually wrote shushing in here. And that's something that, I guess Chris might know a little bit more about if he was here, but we do have a lot of those kind of situations where we're always shooting in weird places that, maybe the building has multiple floors, and we're shooting on the first floor, and we're technically not going to be shooting upstairs until Friday, and it's only Tuesday, and so they're still trying to get stuff ready upstairs, but now we hear everything that they're doing upstairs. And so that's a fairly common thing that happens, especially when you're more location based. Like typically when it's stages, you don't have to worry about it as much because usually companies out on location somewhere while the stage is building. Sometimes.
Justin would disagree.
Justin, I feel like you have something to say over there.
Well, when they expanded the stages for Leverage, actually, we got called to come out and install these. I think I probably talked about them on the show before, but the bell and light systems
Right. Mm-hmm.
are used to,
Suggest.
suggest.
Yeah.
suggest
Strongly
silence.
suggest. Yeah. When you hear a loud bell going out throughout the
and
building.
see a flashing red light, that means, that means that they're rolling. And yeah, we came and installed those systems, on those stages whenever they expanded the stages because they knew that they would want construction to be, on one of the stages for a good portion of the shooting day.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. The what was it? There's a kind of, without having to go into large explanation, there's a ball here called Mom's Ball, and Mom's Ball is if anyone listening that doesn't know, feel free to go look it up. It's basically if you take the German Love Parade and make it into a Mardi Gras event, and the Radiators are always getting back together.
Moms
playing.
stands for Mystical Orphans and Misfits too, so they always have a theme to their ball.
You are correct.
It's usually,
I believe,
substance related.
Yeah, the theme last night was loose ends, I believe.
Yeah, it's either sexual or drug related.
Yeah.
Is usually
The
what's
reason I'm bringing them up is because they moved again, and they were shooting in the second, or not shooting. They were in the second line annex. So
I miss it being back over the river.
I know. I was like, well, I was dropping off friends that were going to it, and I was like, wait, it's not the sugar mill? And they go, no, it's someplace. And they started saying 800 Richard, and I was like, wait, that's second line. So I was like, anyway, good job, second line, for booking.
The sugar mill was the worst place on the planet to have Mom's Ball.
I'm not a huge fan of that place, but
Well, I mean, it was all segregated, and there was like one bar. You couldn't get a drink. The music was overlapping with each. It was awful. It's awful there. So I'm glad they moved it.
yeah. So
Good job,
that
Mom's Ball.
Yeah, that might be the new home for them, and that's good money for second line since no film work is happening. So anyway, shout out for them. But yeah, back to the point of here. The building that Justin was just talking about is a warehouse converted into stages, and so it doesn't have like a typical stage setup. And so you are correct that there is a lot of sound issues that you can run into there. And it's not just here in New Orleans. A lot of other jurisdictions that have films, it's like you get the people that want to build a proper stage, and you get the people that want to polish a turd. And when you polish a turd, you're taking a tin roof warehouse and you're trying to make it soundproof.
With a railroad right behind it.
Yeah, with an
sometimes.
active railroad, probably. And
Well, with that said, second line, the one you just mentioned, is probably the only real soundstage.
Soundstage.
I think they are. Well, I mean, there's,
Currently.
I have never done. What's the?
The Ranch?
No, not the Ranch. That used to be a Lowe's.
Yeah.
Oh, Starlight.
Starlight. I've never done Starlight.
No, I think that used to be warehouse stuff for NASA, right?
Oh, that would make
makes
sense.
sense.
Yeah. Okay. Oh well, then second line. Yeah.
Yeah.
They only did it because I remember when Quixote came here, I got excited. I was like, oh, good, we can have some like solid stages, and then they did the exact same thing, and it was like, oh,
Yeah, that was the one I was talking about.
sorry, Quixote.
Don't rain.
Y'all could have done better.
Don't have a train. No, I don't know.
And maybe don't be in St. Rose.
Yeah, that too.
But anyways.
But it's so close to the Home Depot.
Here's a PSA since we are in Louisiana. I don't think a lot of people know this. For everyone out there that is a Saints fan and absolutely hates the Falcons, Arthur Blank owns Home Depot. So go shop at Lowe's, for fuck's sake. Anyway, that's my PSA for that.
I've
Yeah.
always kind of been a Lowe's girl anyway.
Yeah,
So now I know.
And support your local hardware store too, like your Ace and True
Yes,
Value and
yes.
everything.
Mike's Hardware.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mike's Hardware
I love-
on Elysian Fields.
I love those places. It's always going to be old guys. They're always chatting like a barbershop.
If you don't know, when I really don't know what I'm looking for, that's where I go.
Oh, yeah,
Because
still
Home
know.
Depot, forget about it. Lowe's, forget any big chain.
Prop tip too. Your on-camera tools are going to look best from an Ace Hardware or somewhere like that because all of the Lowe's and Home Depot stuff is all branded and you have to Greek them and do other stuff. So whenever I'm going to get like a tool that I don't need to really do much with, that's where I'm going to go is an Ace or a True Value kind of
And
place.
they always know which screw you need.
Oh, they
always
know.
know exactly how to do it. And it's some old dude with his belly over his waist and belly over his belt and blah, blah, blah. And he's awesome and he knows everything. And even as a woman going in there, they don't normally, act like you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
They don't make
Which is really annoying.
weird sexist assumptions like,
Yeah,
oh, you must need a key
usually-
copy.
Usually not.
There's
I'll
surely
say.
no other reason this woman's in here. You need a light bulb or something?
But they're very helpful,
Yeah,
for sure.
That's good. We have a construction man with us today, sort of a jack of all trades, because he has had quite a career. And we're going to get into it with him. So without further ado, let's welcome Paul Construction. So Paul, welcome. Hey, Paul. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thank you, Jed. Good to see you.
Good to see you, brother. So I want to start with the obvious because you are our first accent on the show. So where were you born and raised?
I was born in Dublin City, but I'm actually raised in Bray, County Wicklow, Ireland, which is about 7 miles south on the coast.
Nice. That's it. It's a pretty area, I would
Yeah.
imagine. Yeah. I mean, it's not Louisiana pretty, but...
No. No, not nowhere near as hot.
So growing up there, I mean, at the time, correct me if I'm wrong, but Ireland hadn't become the kind of production destination that it is now, right?
It hadn't. No, it was actually, luckily enough, Bray is where the only studios was.
Oh, okay.
In Ireland, it was called Ardmore Studios. And I think the biggest production, the very first one I remember, was a movie called Eat the Peach.
Oh,
And
okay.
then it went on from there. My uncle was actually a prop master for probably 40 years.
Oh.
And my brother-in-law through marriage was the construction coordinator, still is, for the last 30, 40 years as well. So I know a lot of the crew. A lot of friends are there now still, in electricians and carpenters and whatnot. And it's now developed. It's gotten huge. So they're building studios throughout Wicklow and over to the West Coast now as well.
Wow.
Scenery-wise, it's not unique, but with the tax incentives, like I remember Morgan O'Sullivan was the owner of Ardmore Studios. He's now a producer, but he was one of the first to create the scenario of the tax incentives with Mel Gibson for Braveheart. And that's how it all sort of started coming about. So,
Oh, wow. That's...
to shoot in Ireland rather than England.
This is already I'm derailing. The Braveheart came up in conversation yesterday because I got a wild hair and decided I wanted to watch random old programming, and Tubi is wonderful for that. Shout out to Tubi, I suppose. Pay us money. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch Columbo. I haven't watched Columbo in forever. Fuck it. Like, let's go. It was like season 5, I don't know, episode 3. Sure, that sounds great. Episode starts off, Leslie Nielsen, and it's pre-comedy Leslie Nielsen. So
yeah.
he's still like a B-list actor. And he's the victim. So he's actually killed by Patrick McGoohan, who is Edward the Longshanks in Braveheart. But it's the 70s, so he's still like a brunette with curly hair. But his voice is unmistakable. But it was just like, what have I fallen into? Like this amazing time capsule. But anyway, that's my Braveheart moment.
Did you come up in film in Ireland?
A little bit, not much, but
All
it was. It's fun to watch it back now. I could just watch Braveheart now, and just memories coming to me. There's a scene where in one of the battles, one of the guys gets his arm chopped off, but that's actually a guy named Jimmy. He drinks in Jim Doyle's, and he's only got one arm. So he gets called in for those shots.
Oh, so you did work on the actual film.
I was around. I was actually Mel Gibson's kids' trainer for water polo.
Oh, okay.
So I was sort of
Interesting.
minding his kids.
Periphery.
Yeah.
That might be the best brag we've had on the show so far.
Yeah, what I was asking is if you started doing film in Ireland.
A little bit. I actually was an animator. I worked
Ah.
on for Don Bluth Studios on the Ninja Turtles Animaniacs.
Oh,
A
fun.
few others way back when I was a kid. They hired anybody that was good with the pencil. So I was very young. I was like 14,
With a
15.
pencil. It was
Yeah.
still a pencil.
It was still in between drawing.
all right, all right.
48 drawings per second.
I love Don Bluth, man. So there's a lot right there. The one arm guy, because you made me think of that other actor who had success after Braveheart, who had the scar.
David O'Hara.
Yeah, that they call it's technically I guess a Scottish term. Is it Glasgow smile? Is the term for that?
Chelsea Spell.
Chelsea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember an interview with him at some point, but he was like, "Nope, legit bar fight." That's how it happened.
I've never heard that term before.
Oh, you mean the one? Yeah, I know the guy you're talking about. Not David O'Hara. Is the other Scottish guy that's in it? He's he went on to Sons
He was
of
in
Anarchy and everything.
Gladiator.
Yeah. He had a solid career for a while after that.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's also amazing that, I mean, what a luck of the draw. It's like, well, it sucks that I lost my arm, but I get these sweet gigs.
Yeah, it's fun. It's one of the best bloopers you've ever seen. It's very hard to find. It's only on some copies of the movie, but their sound engineer is a guy called Dave O'Sullivan. He used to live right across the street from me, and he used to drive an old white Volkswagen Passat estate car. And if you watch, I think it's the second battle scene, he's late. And if you look at the background, there's a gap in the ditch, and you just see this white Volkswagen booking it down the street trying to get in the middle of the 12th century.
Right. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, my God. I've seen that movie 1,000 times. I've never noticed that.
Yeah, it's in the distance. It's funny, though.
That is awesome. That movie is fascinating for a lot of reasons, not to keep like harping on it, but a lot of times on the show, we're covering shows that had like very chaotic, behind the scenes and stuff like that. Braveheart's one of those movies where they did have, it was a little bit of luck. All shows have a little bit of luck, but they did a lot of good last minute pivoting when they had to. And they were just very smart with all of that. And I remember there's a scene where Stephen the Irishman, they need to establish his character as trustworthy and everything. So they came up with that whole guy trying to assassinate William Wallace, and then he comes and kills him at the last second and, has his little moment. They came up with that and filmed it in an afternoon. Like, that was totally off the cuff. It was just as they're in production, Mel Gibson's going, we just don't really get to see why Stephen is someone that's not shady and should be trusted. And then they're like, you know what, why don't we just add the scene right here and blah. And then you see the final cut.
It's such a great scene, too.
It's a great scene.
I mean, and
it's
it
well
really
shot.
does tie things together.
Yeah.
They couldn't,
in a way that
the
have.
history-wise, they couldn't film, the Battle of Stirling was supposed to be the Battle of Stirling Bridge, and they didn't have the budget to recreate the bridge and everything. So that's how they came up with the whole spear thing, which was just them coming up with movie magic. That's not historically accurate, but it works. It works so
Absolutely.
well. I know. And I think as long as you're not English, it's a great movie. Sorry, Michael, our friend. But anyway, getting back on point. So you were film adjacent to a lot of people growing up.
Yeah.
What kind of got you on the path where you're officially 2 feet in?
That was here. So ended up, I had a construction company for about 20 years, and more of I wouldn't consider myself a high-end carpenter, but that's what I like to do. So I would make furniture. Also, I had a furniture shop uptown. And I got a call in. I was working on a restaurant, actually, and for the whole first season of NCIS New Orleans, I was getting their construction coordinator at the time, Noah. I'd gotten called a bunch of times to come in and just sort of maybe, I wouldn't say rescue them, but they just needed another competent hand in because they were so busy. They would do a night crew. And obviously the regular crew were so busy, they couldn't make the hours in like that. So stepped in a number of times. And
Not that production probably didn't make them try.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think they got to a little limit in LA. It was like, stop.
And a little bit over the limit, and then
that was that. So ended up, I think it was into very close to the end of season 1 or just into season 2. And I was renovating a restaurant in Mid-City. And Noah had called me in. I had always looked for the in to do it because I did like it and I knew what it was all about. And he called me, I think it was on a Monday evening about 4 o'clock. and said, "Is there any chance you could come in tonight and run a crew?" And so I was like, what time? He was like 6. I was like 6 till, he's like 6. I was like a 12-hour run or so. But doing a full blown job of my own. I said, okay. So I went in, did it, came back out, straight back to my own job again. He calls me again that afternoon about 3 o'clock. He was like, all right, something else come up. Are you available this evening? And I was like, Jesus. Okay.
That's how it starts.
So I went again.
These people are so needy.
Yeah. So I went again and
that right.
hadn't been to bed at all. Went again another 12 hours, putting up a set and doing whatever, and came back to the regular job again. And then third day, called me again. And I was like, no, I can't.
I'm seeing red flashes of light,
Yeah.
sir.
I was like, why not? And I was like, I haven't slept since you first talked to me. He goes, what do you mean? I was like, I literally haven't slept since you talked to me on Monday. It's Thursday. He's like, why didn't you tell me? I was like, I'm telling you now. Because I'm done. Just give me a breather. So
Damn.
I think between me and him, we had a good rapport. And he knew I was willing and dedicated to it if he wanted to give it a shot. So he had called me in enough times that I was like, look, decision has to be made here because I've got clients and I've got contracts that I got to work on. And it's either there's no more of this bringing me in for 3 weeks or 2 weeks or a month. It's do or don't. So he called. I was like, if you want to give me the mill shop and full time, I was like, I'll pack it all up and I'll be there. So he did. That
Nice.
was it.
So a little bit of a sort of a ringer of sorts. What was your title officially at that time?
I was at the very beginning. I was just carpenter in the mill shop, and
Okay.
then I didn't even get to the first year, and they bumped me up to stage foreman.
Oh.
So
That's nice.
I was rolling quick. So
Well, despite the fact that you can get into this industry not having any background doing what you're doing,
Yeah.
it always helps
Yeah.
to have some knowledge and some skill and talent,
yeah.
you know?
And what I was doing in the mill was basically making furniture and doors and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Which is my regular day.
Yeah,
thing,
I came
you
in
know.
as a PA having taught costume history and costume design at a university and had been designing for costume, for plays and theater for years. And they made me do a lot more than a PA should have done.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
actually, that's
Oh,
how
that's
I got
always the
in the
case.
union because somebody called them and they're like, they're having her dye stuff and shop. And I was a PA. I didn't know what the hell was going on. I was just like, I'm just doing what I'm told, but it does help. People know when you have talent, and you're not just a warm body.
Yeah. It was actually our
Construction.
friend Michael Castro that gave Noah my number originally. So that
Oh,
was,
yeah. The construction is one of those departments that you can't. I mean, there's a reason there's never been a construction PA for good reason. That like
we don't let them in the department.
well, safety knowledge, all kinds of. But I mean, certainly on big shows, and we can talk about it a little bit. But there are situations that maybe you can expand on that you do need bodies where it's like can you wield a hammer? Great, and I've definitely been on shows where things are really busy. There happens to be multiple larger shows going simultaneously, and the well runs dry for competent labor. And in those moments, it's like you just start grabbing whoever you can. But that comes with a lot of challenges, I would assume, because you don't know necessarily the skill level of who's coming on or how competent they might be. You can't spend too much time holding their hand either. So how do you kind of balance that in those situations?
It's you find a dedicated area for them to roll easy. So
Sort nails.
yeah, because the walls actually what they call the prop maker, but it's the walls in general that we would bring a ton of carpenters in for, because the more of them we can put out, the better. And it's straightforward. It's not that it's easy, but it's straightforward.
Right.
If you've done one, you can do them all.
Right.
So it's that's where the bulk of labor, if you're really desperate for day players, that's where they're needed anyway. So it's not getting too complicated. With the mill shop now, you would only have tops 3 of the lead carpenters in there. Everybody else is now just their helper, but also doing the building. They're almost overseeing everything, but it's and hands-on. But it doesn't happen too often. You would rarely have too many carpenters in the mill shop with them. It's a completely different entity from what's going on the construction floor, which is mostly wall, and then you're helping out the paint department as well and what they need to do. and what we need to prep for them to make their life a little easier, which makes their job faster, which is all about speed.
Yeah.
So
That's a very specific art department world headache. But when you're under the gun, you can have construction, paint, greens, set deck. I think that's everybody all on top of each other trying to get a set done because for whatever reason, it got pulled up in the schedule, or maybe it's there was a weather issue and now it's a cover, But I've definitely been on plenty of shows where you're constantly apologizing. Everyone's in everybody's way, and you're just trying to rush to get it done. And there's still time sensitive stuff like paint has to dry, for example. Like you can't,
Can't watch it.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, and you've definitely seen it too, where it's like there'll be 15 fans, going on it, but you can only speed it up so much.
I can hold 6 hair dryers in my hand.
But I guess we could take a moment to kind of break down the construction department because there is some title confusion that goes on. So top of the department being the construction coordinator, and anyone that has, whether listening to the show or in general, coordinator is a random term that's thrown out in all kinds of ways, where sometimes it's a department head position, sometimes it's like a middle of the department position, sometimes it's, and there's also been some kind of transitioning to, so like on the office side, you always have a construction buyer, but that's kind of turned into its own sort of coordinating, right?
Yeah, I got, so with the experience I've had with the better coordinators, and my one at the moment, Cato, he coordinates between the art department, production, designer, everybody, and it's relayed then down to the general foreman. Mm-hmm. The general foreman is the lead of the 2 other foremen, or maybe 3 that you have between stage and location, and then it trickles down. The buyer now is right there, neck and neck with those 3, and especially as well for budgeting and coding and everything, for where all this money is being spent and where it's all going and what it's all for. Yeah. So everybody's constant communication, and then we're responsible. Then stage foreman and locations foreman would be responsible for the drawings and what we're going to break down and how this is going to get built, because essentially we're making a jigsaw puzzle. Everything has to travel. Oh yeah, everything has to be safe, and then. Like you said, then you're going back to all your carpenters and going, right, this is what I need. And you're giving them a cheat sheets of how you've broken it all down and how they're going to go do it. And it has to be in sequence, has to be in time, has to end up in the right place. And it's kind of, I love it. It's kind of fun. It's invigorating on the spot. And then for me, I renovated houses for 20 odd years for a lot of people and for myself. And it feels like I'm doing 1 a week. Or sometimes 3 a week, or sometimes 8 a week, because it's instant gratification. It's up, it's standing, and we just did that.
How do you feel since you've done like renovated houses with detail work and you're very detailed, with your woodworking? Like, how do you feel it's different from the practical side of it?
I tell you, it's actually more intricate, because the way I treat it, and a lot of people, if they don't, they should. I feel is because the television actual television these days is so visually perfect, and production companies are able to pause that TV and zoom in a little bit and be like, don't hire these guys again. They didn't even mortise the hinges on the door, or they can tell. And so it's we're on the spot. If it calls for a cypress door, we make a really nice cypress door for this entryway to go into. So it's we don't do it halfway. So it's and like with houses, it's I was kind of surprised by that a little bit. I thought there would have been a little bit more cheating in it, but
that's kind of what I was asking actually.
Yeah. The cheat is the movie magic, as in it's like, right, that's not really a brick wall,
right?
But when it comes down to doors and windows and the finishes, even at the paint department, they were incredible.
The painters are just they just make magic on top of your magic to begin with. It's wild.
Nothing we do would actually look nearly as good as it does for what they do. They really make us shine. So
y'all make each other shine for sure.
It's fun. Yeah. It's definitely enthralling. It's good to be around it all the time. It's creative.
That's a interesting point that you bring up too, because I had it in my notes with a similar question. I was calling it real construction versus movie construction, is how I had it in quotes. But
Might have been more, it might have been clearer than the way I asked it. But
I think y'all are onto something interesting where you are right in the modern world of technology and people being able to pause, zoom, and do these things. I mean, that's affecting us across the board. Like, there's all kinds of stuff that we can't get away with that we used to be able to. But that's interesting that even from a construction standpoint, it's sort of, which I would imagine it's for the better, but it kind of forces construction departments to be a little bit more nitpicky maybe than they needed to be in the past.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's even. I mean, hinge. I've used hinges that we had to. We didn't have the third hinge that we needed for that door. We better go get it, and that door doesn't even open. But we better go get it somewhere.
Well, and also like the money is probably. I mean, your budgets are more constrained in real life than they are in movie life.
Yeah.
Because if they really want a Cypress door, they're going to pay you to make a Cypress door.
I've seen crazy money being spent for really no good reason.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a particular stick down tile that we did on a particular show.
Yeah, I've said many times that I remember on my first show, I remember thinking, oh my God, those shoes for Salma Hayek cost the entire budget of many period plays I've done in the past. It's like, wow.
Oh yeah, we got some tile. We got some tile in for a particular set, and it could only be bought in California. Well, it was shooting this week. The designer was like, "We're getting it," and I'm pretty sure if I can remember, I think it was $8,000 in shipping.
Oh wow!
Just to get
I'm surprised it wasn't more than that.
Just to get it hot shotted here overnight to be able to put it down, and
construction budgets are always crazy.
Yeah. They have to be.
Well, I mean, like when you think about even when you're getting backings to get those in and get them installed with the set, your art department as a whole, construction, paint, greens, all that, set deck and everything. I mean, that's the vast majority of your budget on a typical show that has construction. Like if it's a location-based show, that's a whole different.
Signage is a big one too.
Signage is that's a major crazy one, and that's actually I'm going to skip down to that since you brought it up. Signage is a very interesting thing because it's sort of out of y'all's control because a lot of it's being made by
fabricated, right?
Some graphics house or something like that, or a local printer.
Or neon, or
Well, what can happen is if the design isn't good, and by the time it's getting to construction, they're just putting it up and mounting it, kind of thing. That's a storefront, we'll say. But if the design is bad, it can already take the viewer out of it. That you're looking at something fake or off or whatever. That kind of stuff can be distracting, and it happens from time to time. I don't know if y'all watch Reacher at all, but I started watching season 3 that's out now, and I love the show. Normally, I have nothing bad to say about it, but in season 3, the bad guy's business, which is like a shady rug import-export business, it's called Bizarre Bazaar, and it's been bothering me every time it shows up, and I'm like, you could have literally called it Rugs Emporium, and it would have been fine, or like some other like generic
somebody was being
whatever
clever
name. And that's the thing, it's like you're too clever, so it's like
to the point of distraction. Exactly. And so
how was the first Bizarre spelled?
That was my question. And were they spelled the same way?
Nope. The second one is like the
like a Moroccan bazaar.
So it's a strange bazaar.
Yes.
A bizarre.
Yes.
Okay.
That is what they're.
That's more.
I hate it already. No.
Yeah. No, it's fine. Hate it with me.
Okay, I'll hate it with you. Sight unseen in solidarity.
But it's strange because like something like that can take you out of it. When you're otherwise watching something, you're buying into the universe and everything, and so. In those situations, I always feel bad because I know it's not the fault of, say, like in this example, the construction department, but the layman viewer might not know something like that. And so people are looking and judging things, more from an amateur eye where it could be completely out of our control. It could be the location itself we're at. There could be all kinds of stuff.
I don't think anybody's blaming construction for that sign.
Maybe not. Oh, you know what? That's actually fair. They're probably blaming just art in general.
See how
'cause
he's
they
just
wouldn't
trying
know.
to throw you under the bus?
I know.
Oh,
He's not even
God.
thinking about the person that actually owns Bazaar Bazaar.
Right. I know.
That's what it's supposed to
I
be.
know.
Well, that guy's he's obviously bad, and he will die at some point. We know that. That's how you get your comeuppance. But
Spoiler.
spoiler. Well, it's the end of every season. I mean,
Hey, yo.
there's a bad guy, he gets killed. But there was a show we did post Katrina Shreveport in the water tank, and I wanted to be like all about it. It was cool because we're recreating some Katrina type stuff, and it's like police in Katrina water, whatever. But the storefronts were not good looking, and so you're like, it looks like he's on a set. So it's like all that effort to just use the tank in general, and you're getting into the situation where it like, hey, we got this, let's use it kind of thing. But then you ruin it by not having I don't know. The problem with that one, I guess it's not the best of examples, but the problem with that one is that it was supposed to be New Orleans. We're in Shreveport, and they're recreating storefront businesses that don't look like New Orleans. So that's really what the problem was.
This is the tank from Titanic.
This is not the Titanic tank.
Oh, okay.
This is the Guardian.
Biggest one, though,
The
right?
Guardian. It is the biggest. Is to the best of my knowledge, it's currently the largest because all the others have been
Just
destroyed.
there. Yeah, because it's there.
It's winning by simply people saying don't tear it down.
Not to backtrack too much, but I'm about the budgets. I'm wondering how this potential Tuesday tariffs are going to affect your budgets. Have you thought about that?
I just want to get a job first.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Yeah. With every first
I know what you
things
mean.
first.
That's another worry.
I mean, it just occurred to me.
Yeah.
It's just like,
It's another worry.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no idea.
I mean, yeah.
It's not helping our case for work in the United States.
No,
right
it's
now.
not.
I have a couple of
lot
friends-
of things are going
a
overseas.
couple of friends
Most
moving
things.
to Ireland to the studio that I used to be around. They're moving away,
Yeah,
and
at a
it's-
rapid rate.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
with the fires in LA, I mean, people are making decisions, you know?
And the strangest thing, and this is, I mean, we're off topic, but there's this, like, you feel like it's a common agreement where everyone still seems to enjoy going to the movies. They seem to say, I haven't been to the movies in so long. I went the other day. I loved it. You always hear everyone saying how much they love going to the movies. But then our lords are not creating content to go to movie theaters because they're all run by the streaming people. So it's like, Group A is not listening to Group B, kind of a situation where it's like, at least from everything I hear, it's like if we went back to the old school of just making movies for entertainment and then put them in a theater, people will come. It's like Field of Dreams all over
Yeah,
again.
we are definitely in a weird space right now because the streaming services are making as much content, if not more, than studios are. So probably more. I don't know the numbers.
100%
but
of what's incoming on Netflix is foreign. Like, if
Yeah.
you pay attention to the
well,
coming soon on Netflix.
they're running out of content. So
Yeah.
either they got to start making movies again, hopefully here,
Yeah.
or what? It's just going to be reality garbage on television.
Probably.
There's a
cheap.
lot of non-scripted stuff
cheap
be
to do.
in development right now.
And they're trying to up that number.
Oh, yeah.
I think
Big time.
I think I could be wrong, but I feel like they were trying to make it like 60-40, where it's like 60%
I feel like that's
is,
an accurate number.
yeah. So after that depressing,
Wah, wah. Aren't
but
you glad you came in this Sunday, Paul?
Oh, trust me, we have this conversation most days.
Yeah, right.
yeah, that's true.
It's true. It's hard to escape it.
So one after NCIS, you were just kind of full in, right? You're just-
I mean, I was on, what was that, 6-7 years?
Yeah.
On that, and then a couple of movies in between.
That
here and there in
solidified
the
a lot
summers.
of people's careers. That show,
Oh, yeah.
for sure.
Learned a lot.
I bought some houses.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that. I guess we were talking about it a little bit, but if right now, maybe I mean, we don't have to go into detail or something, but if you're going and doing, say, furniture work right now, or doing some home renovations or something like that, are you just kind of like autopilot at this point, or is there like a little switch in your brain that you're like, oh, note to self, I'm doing this today, not my normal film stuff?
The daily hope pill that you have to swallow is getting bigger and bigger.
Oh my
'cause you're like,
God!
come on,
yeah,
man.
it's you're gagging on it at
All
this
of you
point.
wankers with your, just make a decision. Just let's go. You
Yeah.
know, it's like, but it's incredible. It's like, and this is not coming from. I've been over here 30 years. Like, it's not coming from. Come on, America.
Yeah.
You know, but at the same time,
We're all saying, "Come on,
I'm like,
America!"
come on,
right
man.
now.
You know, it's you know, I'm doing real world stuff now, and that's fine. But it's your heart's not in it. You know.
No, that's the hardest thing is like, even, you know, before we started officially recording, I was complaining about this non-union thing that I just did. And at the same time, like, even though I was complaining about it and it was frustrating, I also, just because I barely have done film work the last, 3-ish months. So there was still this like,
It's like, oh, I have
enjoyment.
purpose. Oh my God, I'm
Well,
doing something I'm good
you're on the
at, and people are
set,
appreciating
you
my
know.
work.
the radio I normally would complain about, I like it, feeling the feel of it, you know.
Oh yeah, I mean, I will
Like,
say,
yeah.
the burnout will go away at least. I mean, when it comes back.
Yeah.
That's
You know, everybody's going to be in a great mood, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So
It even tracks back to the question you just asked about like the hierarchy within it and the chain of command as far as like how to make it all work. Nobody outside the movies knows how that works. They just figure out, oh, you build stuff for the sets. Yeah. They don't understand the system that's in place and how well it works. Mm-hmm. And you could be, this happens, but I'm like working for, let's say, a cabinet company, and you're trying to reiterate to them like a chain of command is severely important.
Oh,
you
yeah.
have to have it, and you all need to communicate much better than you already are. And it happens to be time and time again where a regular company, there's a lot of personal money invested in, people aren't listening to each other, and it's just not happening. Profits are not being made, and it's like, I can show you how. Mm-hmm. And based on they know I've worked in the movies, they blow it off because it's the movies,
Right.
not
They think
understanding
it's just schlock.
how good at this we are.
Oh, yeah.
And they just don't get it.
It
do you feel
I miss
like
that, you know?
yeah.
like you're talking about like collaboration and communication, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that it was always that way in that line of work?
In
that,
regular
yeah.
real world work?
Yeah.
I think it is.
Do you
because
feel like
personalities,
do you feel like it's gotten worse, the
Yes.
communication?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. The reality is like I've worked for a few guys that are a little bit younger than me, but they there's big egos out there at the moment. Everybody thinks they know what they're doing.
Well, and everybody's begrudging anybody else who gets work too,
Yeah,
which,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I mean, you
It's,
know,
it's-
everybody needs to work. So,
yeah,
you know.
everybody has a lot of opinions on how everything should be done.
Oh,
But
yeah.
but they've never done this before. But yeah, they're.
Do you think it's just the egos and, you know, I mean, because this is definitely weeding out the people who aren't, you know, who don't work all the time.
Well,
you
we're-
know
we're
what I
also
mean? But
aging, like sort of age cutting, where you have older people that are taking early retirements, younger people that can still pivot because they were maybe just PAs or something
Right,
like that.
that's true.
We're
The
in
youth
this
factor.
we're in this lovely like
Justin.
the 30s to 50s group that we're
Yep,
sort of.
yep.
It's like, but it's all I know.
right. It's like I backed myself into a corner. Like all I know how to do is play dress up. Like, what? Oh God. But I guess what I'm asking is that I mean, this is just world stuff, not like movie stuff. But like, I have a theory that since the pandemic, people just don't know how to talk to each other. I mean, social media and just like people raving online without any consequence definitely has that part of that. And, you know, just watching people in our government have no accountability and things like that too. I think that that's all playing into the mentality that we are seeing more and more, not only in the movies, but just in the world.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
guess
Social
I
media
was
is
wondering if
definitely
that
affecting that.
type of change
that
has
happens
happened.
too.
Just
That
like
has- I feel it. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those where I can only judge America because I'm here. But it's like, and the only other way I can look at it is because of where I'm from, and I go back often enough, and so I wouldn't compare it to anywhere else except for anywhere that I know. But it's I feel in the last, even since slightly before the pandemic, nobody worries about what's going on outside of their own front fence. Nobody wants to help anybody. Nobody wants to be
That's-
kind anymore.
Nope.
Everything, and it's a judgmental world all of a sudden, and it's kind of
That would be the slow burn of the fear mongering that's been happening
Yeah.
the last 20, 30 years.
and it's sad. You know, I brought my two
It's
kids
very
home,
sad.
and they just were. I left it. I didn't bring them home when they were very young. I brought them home. I think my son was about 5 or 6, and my daughter would have been about 11. and that was their first trip back to Ireland. And I didn't want that to be their 10th trip and be bored with it already. So they had a bit of shock because they were old enough to see it and get it and have a feel for it. And I remember, this is just basic stuff now, but it's real for them, where we were on the beach in my town, which is just south of Dublin, and about a mile long beach. Riley, my daughter, is down by the water. She came running up and she says, "Dad, I have to find some dry seaweed." I was like, "Where can I find more? Like, I have an idea for a project." And I was like, "Down the end of the beach. It all washes up in the corner under the mountain." She was like, "All right, come on." I was like, "No, go ahead." And she looked at me like, "What?" I was like, "Go ahead. You're on your own. Go for it." She'd never done that before. And even though it was just a half a mile away, she came back 45 minutes later, a completely different child. She'd never done that before, because I can't let her walk to the corner here, you know? And then I started realizing, man, I just took something really important away from my kids, and I didn't even know
so
it,
many things have been taken away from kids, and just
You
like
also
the
said
process of growing up.
beach and mountain in the same sentence. That sounds so awesome.
I'll show you a picture later. It's a really cool place.
But y'all are absolutely right. I mean, it's an unfortunate just the way things have been changing. I got new neighbors. I got my 6-year-old to, I'm going to use air quotes, help me make brownies, and I went and brought it to him because trying to be a good neighbor and everything, and they were like, "Thanks."
Yeah.
And I didn't try to like go into any kind of like long-winded, you're gonna love this, you're gonna appreciate these brownies, But instead, it's just kind of like, "Yep, just welcome to the neighborhood," and I'm like walking away. But it's like, I think if everybody could maybe find those little things to sort of grab back at.
I think that's what the connection is. What you asked me is that when the movie world is talked about, nobody in it cares, and we need them to.
Yeah, I think so. I'm looking back at my notes. There's one position that we forgot to mention: the utility tech, which is, I guess, the entry level, you could say.
Yeah, but without them, you're dead in the water.
Yeah, so that's, and just to help me out, they're keeping the tools in order, they're sweeping the shop, they're making sure waters are going around. And
we can go even right below the foreman now. You're jumping down into gang boss as well, which is like they segment into little tiny groups of the crew.
Right.
And they run particular parts of the project, and then they have crew members that they run. And they're on the hammer too, just like we all are. And then right below that, then you got your prop makers, and then you're into the utility crew. And they're putting the wood beside the table saw for you to be able to keep going, because speed is everything, But then also accuracy is too. So they keep our tools up. And
so it's like a camera utility.
Yeah, they're on point, And it's like when you have a bad one.
To your point of the communication importance and it, kind of military in a way, but our film can also, there's a lot of irony, because like film is typically very liberal and military is not, but it is a very military-esque regimen that is run on a film set, and
usually military time.
Yeah, we use military time. We're not so different, but
okay,
and we laugh. But going back to the communication thing, just trying to exemplify the sheer size of the construction department typically, and that's why the communication is so important, to get that information from the art department, from the production designer, the art director, to the top, and then have it go all the way through the department down, and have everybody working on the same page. Yeah. I mean, that's
why the answers to the questions are correct when they're asked, is because it goes through the chain. It's like I would never step across the line of a general foreman and go to a production designer or a coordinator and go to a production designer and art director and ask them any questions. I go to my guy. I go to the guy above me.
Yes.
They go and ask.
Right.
And then now everybody knows the answer.
Which is the way it should be.
Yeah.
We're sometimes like that in props.
I mean, being on set, sometimes you gotta just.
Our world is hard.
On the fly.
I mean, costumes is the same too. Like when you have an offset and an onset, it's difficult because you always have to make sure that both sides are on the same page, and so the communication is really important, because you can have a myriad of things go wrong if the two sides start going independent and rogue from each other. And definitely been on shows where that has become problematic, and like you got set people getting upset because they feel like they're not getting what they need from, say, the
It's always
production
an
side.
office
Yeah.
versus set situation.
So you really want to keep that in mind and try to make sure everybody's happy, ideally. But there's also times where you got to tell people to suck it up. Like, don't be a baby about it. Kids these days, am I right?
Oh, yeah.
But
Sniffers.
moving us along. So when movies are more location based, so then the construction becomes more situational. So maybe we don't have any stage work, but maybe there's a house that we're using as the main hero house, and y'all have work within that house to do. In those movies, in those situations, I'm sure there's a little case by case, but what's the typical like reduced crew situation?
So it's actually not. It's pretty much the same because
okay.
it actually the work involved is more detailed because we're not just dealing with an open warehouse to build a set on.
Right.
We got to get it in that door.
Right.
You know, we got to put it into the back room. We got to reassemble.
That's a good point.
Everything we got to make might have to. They might call for a 5 foot wide desk in a set.
I
The
feel like-
door is only 3 feet wide. You know, so what do we do?
Sorry to cut you off. I feel like I'm a UPM and you're explaining why you need these men right now. Tell me why you need 4 guys
But
tomorrow.
you're actually listening to the answer, Jeff.
I know. Right.
Yeah,
I would be the
jigsaw
worst
puzzle.
UPM.
The jigsaw puzzle basically goes down into smaller parts. Is what happens.
Okay.
So,
All right. Now, I had this in here for us. So Heather Ray and I are both theater kids, and in college, that I don't know if we've talked about this or not, but one of my favorite things when a show was finishing was demo, and it's theater kids that typically aren't good at construction. There's usually someone else that's much better, and like maybe like this person is not bad at painting flats, but you don't want them to hold a tool, kind of thing, But once you're at demo, it's anybody can jump in and do this, kind of thing. So I always got some kind of cathartic satisfaction of the end of the show and doing that part, but.
You just want to wield the sledgehammer, is basically.
It's actually, I like just the flipping the hammer around and just taking the claw to
Ripping.
Yeah, get those flats back to being flat. You know what I mean? But I guess my question, again, going with Film World, obviously TV and being episodic is one thing, but at the end of a film, is there a certain level of salvage y'all are trying to do as well?
ooh, especially with TV.
Yeah.
The movie, no. It depends. It depends, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's the TV though. Yeah, we had a massive set that we used to do on NCIS, the mayor's office, and I think we put that up 8 times, and it was big, and to the point where it was starting to twist. And it's starting to get to the point where we can't put these walls together anymore. We're going to rebuild it because of the travel involved and everything was starting to go. So,
You were really bummed when that storyline went out.
yeah, so
Read the script every time. You're like,
No
"Ah,
more mayor?
shit."
Oh,
we saved all of them. Our scene dock was ridiculous. And it was about 300 feet long wall of straight in walls. All we had aisles of walls, and it's like, and we used every one of them, and sometimes multiple times. But it's at the very end of NCIS. Now that was the fun part where I literally got to drive the forklift at full speed straight through the main set, and just knock the thing down.
that's so awesome.
And your reward is.
Yeah. That was a little trippy because I walked by the morgue one day and the morgue was like half gone, and so
The
like
bobcat going around.
right,
Yeah.
and
It was sad, actually. It was really sad.
it had a little bit of sadness to it, but there was something. Those sets, but yes, it's a testament to the construction department for that as well, because like those main sets that were just living sets. They were so well done, and they were very well fleshed out, very lived in, I guess you could say, like the looks of them and everything. And I enjoyed, like, say, the morgue, for example. Like, I knew what was in all the cabinets. I knew where stuff was hiding. I knew where I could, and you get used to that kind of stuff. And so you also start to kind of it's not that you believe that you're in an actual, you say, morgue in that situation, but you are believing the space for where everything is, and so like the drawers where the bodies would be is actually just a wall of dead doors, except for the special, which they have to bring in, bring out when they would want to pull a body out, but otherwise it's just a flat with nothing behind it. And when the teardown was happening, I could see all the way to the back of the set for the first time. And so that's what was kind of like tripping me out, is because like, it's like, oh God, the middle researchy area is gone. But but those were beautiful sets. I don't know who to give credit for. I guess who was it? Chuck who was in season 1?
Season 1, yeah, but actually a guy called Mike Tavetin that works with me on Leverage as well. He was
I know Mike.
Yeah, he was pretty much the head carpenter, man. That man's a genius.
Yeah, I don't shake
Well,
that
one of
man's
my
hand
favorite
next time.
things when I'm first on set, the reason why I love being on set for the first time, it's like, oh my God, everything I've been reading about that's been in my head. And now it's, I can't. And it's great. It's like, this is exactly what I thought. Or it's like, oh, wow. No, this is way better. And I'm just always, and like, I'm so happy to meet one of what I find to be a faceless crew member that makes that magic happen. You know what I mean?
It is fun.
Because
a funny one,
it's
actually, when I
incredible.
was a kid, the only video, it's just typical Irish upbringing, but the only video we had in the house was Back to the Future. I don't know how many times I've watched that movie, but it's millions. And I was
So seemingly random.
I swear to God, about 20 years ago, I was in California, maybe 25 years ago now. I was road tripping in California, and there was this one particular house, can't remember the name of it, but it was a famous architect, and it's all built with mortise, tenon, and peg joint. There was no nails, no screws, nothing in it, and it's very cantilevered. It's a beautiful building. The beams are massive. And aside to that, there was a garage that was a bookstore based on all the local architecture. And wherever this picnic bench was that I was sitting on, that must have been where the car was, or where the camera was when that movie was shot, because it was Doc's house. And it was right at that moment I realised it. When I ran into the bookshop, I was like, is this where they shot Back to the Future? And they're all looking at me like, duh, yeah. I'm like, holy shit.
You just reminded me that one of the podcasts I listened to, the hosts on the podcast, their nerd LA area geography is very good, and so they're always going like, oh yeah, that's the neighborhood that Back to the Future. When they go back into the past, like I can't think of the name of the neighborhood offhand, but the suburb or whatever.
Yeah.
You've seen it a million times. Tell us the name of the neighborhood.
Lion Estates.
There you go.
But they know exactly where that. They're like, oh yeah, over there in like such and such street in Pasadena. And like, yeah, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. But it's like they know where all the iconic movie moments were shot and everything. And anytime I hear people talking about that, I'm like, I think I would totally be that nerd if I was out in LA. You can't help it. Like, I'm sure it's being a tourist.
Spend
in your
some
own
time.
city.
They spend like a month on the 405, and you'll be like,
I'm not talking about driving. I've done the driving out there. That's a whole other thing. But I'm saying if I lived there for an extended time, I would probably find myself doing like the stupid like celebrity tours and other stuff. I wanted to get us into a safety conversation a little bit about because obviously construction can be dangerous and you want to make sure you're following a lot of safety rules and protocols. And I'm curious just how y'all typically go about it. Like, obviously you're looking for competent people that already know, safety to a certain extent, but for a film set, for say fire lane rules, all these kind of things, is it as old school as like, well, there's the sign with the rules on the wall, make sure you read them and you walk away kind of thing? Or is it you have to constantly go around barking like, Steve, for fuck's sake, the welding mask on,
I think, let's say like a welder is he's not gonna hurt himself.
Yeah.
So he's safe. He's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
He's in charge
he's
of
good.
himself and his guys he's in charge of. And when it comes down to the construction part, obviously we use a lot of beamage. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's the big one for us is the beams. So it's they're high up, they're hanging, and they're barely clipped in, and they're heavy. So it's myself. I had two guys that I trusted, and nobody else. and they came in after everything was up. And I was like, make sure it's all in. I was like, every single bit of it. So it's we'd shake the sets to see if anything was it, because they shouldn't shake, you know. So
Oh, I've definitely been on sets that were suspects.
Yeah, yeah.
Railroads and makeshift in studio railroads that are falling. I mean, terrifying. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
thank
It's,
you for paying attention to
oh,
safety when
yeah.
you're building.
that's the number. It's number one for me, because it's
Has
you know,
to be.
You're not gonna get a job again if anything like that goes south.
No.
That's the only time I really, really get mad on set
Mm-hmm.
is when the safety issues are.
Yeah. I've walked off on a few. Not walked off. I shouldn't say, like, not quit. But there was a few times where on a particular show, the head grip came in from out of town and was the oil was switched out and whatnot, and we went head to head pretty quick because 2 steel pipes were dropped right by 2 of my guys, and I didn't go upstairs about it, but I pulled them aside and I was like, I'm pulling my crew till you're done. Nobody's coming back in here, but I've got a deadline, so I'm giving you an hour
Yeah.
to talk to your crew and get your shit straight.
Yeah.
And so he was like, well,
Good for you.
You know, who are you to be talking to me? I was like, all right, now I'm going upstairs.
Yeah. I'll show you who I am.
So it's,
I'm a guy that doesn't
that's,
want to
you know,
die today.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. First and foremost, right.
Good friend of mine, Josh, he was 25 years old, I think, at the time. And I was like, you're about to kill the kid. You know, come on. So it's safety is very important, obviously. You know, it's I actually don't like mixing up departments most of the time. Construction's in there and grips are not. You know,
Yeah.
even electric, they can just hold on. Just one ratchet falls out of that belt and somebody's getting impaled. You know.
Yeah. And in construction, I just kind of touching back to the labor side. Construction is one of the only departments that has their own dedicated medic for those reasons, and he has a safety net. And
I mean, duh.
yeah, and now, I mean,
I have been on shows
I'm
where they've
debating
been
whether or not I
doing
should say.
double duty as well. Now that I'm thinking of it, It's
Yeah, there's a lot of-
Oh,
that's-
the medic's not here because they're in construction.
you're
It's
kind of
like,
reading my
wait a
mind. I was
minute.
like, I don't know how much I want to go into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's that's stuff that we've talked with the union hall about, and they're trying to change. I think we talked about it when Simonette was on, maybe the last time. But you know, because there's no rules about these things, and so if there's not a rule, then they're going to push that envelope if they can, and so stuff like that becomes hedging bets, where they're going, surely there won't be 2 accidents simultaneously in 2 different areas of the, you know, so that's where, just to save a few bucks, you know. But I should shout out Jed Medic, the only other Jed I know in the industry.
Yeah. He was ours on NCS for a long time.
Yeah. And Roy too. I love Roy. Safety is just one of those things where it's become a theme with our show. It just kind of happened organically, but it's also the reality of every time things go lax is when something starts to go wrong, and then it's not a sexy topic, and so people often get into this like yeah got it kind of thing, and it's like, you know, just hey, we want to be safe for a reason, you know, so nobody gets hurt. And, you know, I know you don't want to have to hear a lecture about it. I know you don't want to have to hear it, you know, blah. But it is something, especially a department like construction, where you do have to keep that attention on it, just because you're around a lot of dangerous stuff.
Yeah.
I was still a PA at the time, and I was the art PA on that show, and so I was dropping off some plans to construction, and I was wearing flip-flops. Nothing bad happened, but I was ridiculed by several
Code shoes, Jed.
But yeah, you know, it's just like I was young. I didn't know any better, and I'm thinking like, well, I'm just dropping this stuff
Actually,
off.
I think
like,
I
wait a
went to
minute.
my first on-set gig with flip-flops too, so don't
Yeah.
feel bad.
Did you
Yeah.
also have a puka shell necklace?
It was
Thumb ring?
It was a glass mushroom.
Oh, I feel like you've talked about this on the show, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I keep bringing up
This
my
is young Jed.
It's my 16-year-old Jed, 1995 Jed. So starting to wind us down a little bit. I wanted to kind of do a little advocating for film construction, and we haven't talked about this yet, but I think, to the best of my knowledge, y'all are the last section of film that does not get paid lunch. right? And you have to leave. Well, you don't have to leave, but I mean, typically you'll shut down for what, 30 minutes or an hour?
45 minutes for lunch.
Yeah.
And then you're, actually, it was, I think it's I can't remember. It's been that long.
Right.
It was last year. But I think it's 45 for lunch and then 2 15-minute breaks. Whatever.
In your opinion, do you like the system the way it is, or would you prefer if there was some kind of catering or compensation to keep you all working?
I think if cavemen had jobs, they would have got paid for lunch.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
What are we doing? It's like,
Well, and you don't get catering or anything. Like you have to go and
I mean,
bring your
y'all
own or get your
allow
own.
us-
Is that
You
right?
can kind of go sneak
they
it.
allow us if they're on site.
Oh,
And
okay.
whatnot, but
All right.
it's,
So it's like working in the office.
it's
okay.
It's a little taboo. You just you definitely don't abuse it.
Yeah.
So it's what you call it.
'Cause-
But yeah, I mean, it's
It's
But
mostly.
yeah, agreed. I
What are
mean,
we
where are you
doing?
going? What are you doing in a half hour, 45 minutes?
Well, it's like, are we in
you
school here or do I
I'd
work here?
that's why
Which
I
is
love
it?
French hours.
Yeah.
That doesn't help you.
Yeah.
No.
With what you're doing, Paul.
not
but
at all,
like
actually.
French, that would not be good for
We
y'all. But
essentially, like if we're doing a 12-hour day, we'll essentially have to add on that time that we're not getting paid for to the end of the day to make up 12 hours to get paid our 12 hours. So
Yeah, that's
now
bullshit.
I'm not picking my kid up from school
right.
because you don't want to pay me for lunch. This
Right.
big corporation. Come on.
That's where I'm at with it, where it's because everyone else is getting it is why I feel there should be something in place, or at least like how Transpo gets a stipend, some kind of something that I don't think it's breaking a bank. But it's this weird thing of like, just because y'all are the last people that don't have it, I feel like that's why people are being like stubbornly stingy about it. I mean, I could be wrong, but it's just such a small potatoes kind of thing, at least in my mind. And
Money wise, it's small potatoes.
Yeah.
For these guys, it's not.
yeah,
That's what,
exactly.
like,
well, when Taco Bell is costing $15,
Right.
the world has gone to
yeah,
hell.
and you have a $13 minimum or maximum for what you can spend on lunch. That doesn't work.
Can you imagine how much Taco Bell that way? We should figure that out some days. Like what $15 was in like say '94 or something. Like that's probably like
Well, I remember you
feed a
could get a
family of
bean
8.
burrito for 69 cents and
Yeah.
like 20 years ago, 90s.
Yeah, I could probably
last
feed a
time I ate
family
at
of
Taco
6.
Bell?
I paid $15 for a Jazz Fest ticket in 1998, and that was the
yeah.
price of the gate.
Yeah,
What the hell
that's
just happened
I
there?
tell people that
Same
1996 was, and I was like, it was either $15 or $18, but you just confirmed it. $15.
Same venue.
Yeah, when
Same
you-
venue. What
1997. Yep.
Because you got your oh man, I'm gonna play. What was the video store that they're gone now?
Blockbuster.
Major Video. No. Well, yeah, Blockbuster too. No, Major
All of
Video.
them?
Yeah, right. Major Video is where I used to get my Jazz Fest tickets because I think you could get like some. It's been so long, but I think you got some kind of small discount. or
Well, you
something
used
like
to get a free run on WWOZ if you donated like $20 or something
yeah.
like that. And it was always free entrant or half price for locals on Thursdays. On the Thursdays.
Yeah, something
Yeah,
like that.
Thursdays.
Like yeah.
Something like that.
But yeah, I don't know. It's the lunch thing. Is like you don't hear too many in the construction department complaining about it. But it's
Yeah.
because it's for us we're a bit of a go kind of thing. So
Yeah.
it's like we could do with it just so as we don't have to race out and get something to eat and come racing back on this
Right.
long everyday 12-hour day. It's
Yeah.
just a little bit much.
Yeah.
I have a question. Can we have Paul on every day because he's really good at bringing us back to the topic at hand when we run off the rails? I'm just gonna get.
Well, I'm gonna
you know.
use what you just said.
Usually,
there.
I'm the one who has to do
I
it, and I'm not
That's because
reliable.
my memory only goes about 3 minutes. And then it falls out on the floor, so I
Yep,
have to
pretty
remind
much.
myself what we were talking about.
I got a
pretty good.
pile of ideas right
Well,
here
I
on
think
the carpet
you
next
were
to me.
I think you were feeling the notes where I'm at because this is where I say we want to thank you for coming in today, Paul.
Yes, thank you for coming in today, Paul.
and there, we always ask a guest at the end to maybe impart some advice. It could be anything. It could be to someone interested in getting in the industry, or maybe you're telling them to stay far away from the industry. It could be construction related, just life advice. Anything you want.
I would definitely encourage somebody to get involved in the movie industry. It really is an invigorating, exciting job and business, even though it's just in the construction department. But the people you do get to meet, and it's you turn a corner and actors walking by. That's the fun part of it all. The push that's involved with the jobs itself in construction, trying to put these sets up quick and up fast, and the people that you deal with, you do make lifelong friends out of it a lot. of lifelong friends,
Trauma
which is
bonding.
why I'm sitting here. You know?
Right.
And it's
Trauma bond.
yeah,
That's real.
yeah, and it's it can be a bit of a dream job, you know. So I would definitely encourage somebody. I would say also don't aim for a particular avenue within the movies. You can actually just fall in somewhere where you didn't even realize. So it's when I went to college back home, I never really used my degree in anything until I actually started back in the movies again. I'm now breaking down architectural drawings and doing what I did 30 years ago, but now I'm finally doing it for real. And for me, that's real.
Yeah.
Not like the movie world, you know, instead of the real world. This is real. And then it doesn't have to be a devotion of your lifestyle either, of your life, to have to put so much time into it, but it does pay back. And whatever department you do end up in, if you want to succeed a little bit, do the job of the guy above you. And then he does the job of the guy above him. And that puts the guy at top happy. And off you roll.
I love that advice.
That's great advice.
And I haven't really given it that much thought, but I think you're absolutely right. Like, you will organically find your department and find your people even without trying. Like, it will happen. You're absolutely right.
I mean, you were a PA in the costume department at one point, right?
I was a PA in practically all departments.
Yeah, I
did
mean,
the
I feel
tour.
a lot of people do that, though. I feel people, like, they get in thinking they want to do one thing, and then they end up doing something completely different, but in film.
I mean, I guess you're right. Like, in the beginning, it felt very like entering college of like, I'm here because I'm told I need to be here, but I don't know what I'm going to do.
Just getting a liberal arts degree.
And I'm going to get Latin studies I could do in 3 years. But you, like, the first time I did anything art department related, I knew I was heading the right direction. I didn't know what I wanted in the art department, but I knew I really enjoyed the art department, and it tickled some kind of bone, you know, whatever you want to call it. But I think you're right.
I mean, I started off acting and had to take a design class, and I was like, well, I guess costumes. And here I am, 30 some odd years later.
This class will do me no good.
Yeah, what am I doing this for?
Yeah, we had a kid, Josh, that worked with us. He was, I could see the little eagerness in his eye when I was in the mill shop on NCIS a lot, and I used to bring him in with me all the time. Taught him a little bit, you know, but he took it and ran with it, and all the way through, he would learn, and he moved back up to Arkansas a couple of years ago with his new wife, and he now runs and owns his own very high-end furniture shop, and he's a designer, and he's you know, little Josh with the red hair.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
he's killing it, you know, and it's
Man,
all
good for him.
So
Good for you, little Josh with the red hair.
Shout out Josh with the red hair.
He's not that little.
But he's a sweetheart of a kid, and I'm delighted for him, you know, because it's one of those things where you don't know where you're going to end up, and movies didn't do this for him, but the opportunity to get into a mill shop did.
Yeah.
And that really only existed here, you know. So
That's so good. And yeah, shout out to Josh.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Paul, for
welcome.
coming in. And I think you hit another home run for us. Like, everyone's given solid advice that we've asked. But yeah,
Test it first. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much for coming in
Welcome.
today.
Thank you,
Paul.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Paul, for coming in and talking with us today. As I've been very vocal, I love Irish, everything Ireland, and his voice is magical. So thanks to Paul. And I'm glad that we got to shed a little light on construction today, because it is an often underrated and yet very vital aspect of our industry. So thoughts on construction?
I had no idea about exactly what, like, the chain of command and all that. I hear these gang boss and form. I hear it, you know, but I don't know what the chain of command is there, because, like I said, I'm on set all the time. I never see it in action, so it kind of falls to the back of my brain.
Oh, which you bring up something that we didn't talk about that's good, is sometimes we do have an on-set construction person who is basically, we call them standby construction, but there's also a standby painter sometimes. There's a standby green sometimes.
Yep.
Basically, they're just the rep for the department if there's a little tweak or something that needs to happen, or maybe the build is got some sensitivities to it and they're familiar with it. So they're basically there in case something breaks, goes wrong, whatever. So I should mention them as well. that is the only on-set construction aspect. Justin, construction thoughts?
Yeah, I love the construction department. I love the smell of sawdust.
I do actually like the
same.
smell. You know,
Same.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, walking through those construction areas are you of course got to be safe about everything, but it's
No flip flops, Jed.
It's
yes.
kind of magical. Yeah. We're, walking through that. And, those guys are a little bit intimidating sometimes, but a lot of them are really nice and approachable, surprisingly, I guess.
We didn't talk about it in the episode, but I should have asked this to Paul. But a lot of times, this is back when I was an art department coordinator, but a lot of times when you need results quickly from construction, like maybe you're trying to deliver something to them or from there or whatever. And yeah, I mean, a lot of times, not always. I mean, I've had perfectly fine relationships with construction departments when I was a coordinator, but sometimes maybe they're slow to take you whatever your request is because they got a whole list of things that they're working on and they don't see you as priority. The workaround for that is you send in the girl. So the girls get results, and it's just a funny reality because it's just a big room full of dudes. You send a girl in there and you're going to get better results. It's just the way it works. So
Are you saying it's like sending a woman into prison? Is that what you're saying?
I wouldn't call it prison, but
Well, I'm just saying reactions. I mean,
mean-
maybe it's because the women know how to communicate and they can
think
get
so.
a point across, and they're just all the guys are just so shocked that there's actually a woman on their floor.
I'd say the big difference is that these men are free and can see women.
Thank you for being incredibly literal with my metaphor. I appreciate you for that.
I'm sorry, but yeah, I mean, it's just one of those funny little realities of things where I learned by accident essentially because I just happened to have a girl that was the PA on a show, and I just noticed at some point I was like, boy, they're answering your calls, and they're like you're coming back much faster than I get over there and back. And
You're
everything.
backpedaling fairly effectively, Jed.
Well, thank you. And shout out to Jamie. She was awesome.
Mouth shut.
You're smarter than Jed.
No, I just this is I guess someone was saying like oh, you think you're smart or something like that, and I had said that men aren't smart. Like the only smart man is the man that realizes he's dumb. So you got two kinds of guys, and there you go.
I think that's people in general sometimes, but definitely
But anyways,
leaning heavier on the
back to
male
construction.
side, yes.
This is the derailing episode.
If we go out, we went off the rails.
But yeah, I'm always impressed with construction, especially like what can be pulled off within a timeline. Those kind of feats are always going to be impressive because you're watching something coming together physically, and those final results, by the time, company that we're coming onto the set and everything, we're seeing that final result. It's exciting.
It's always, like I said, one of my favorite parts of working on a movie is just seeing the world that's being created, and they're the
Olympus
base of
Has
it,
Fallen
so.
was a dumb movie and whatever, but I still got excited for all the White House stuff. It's just there's parts of the set that I felt like I was inside the White House, and I mean, we've, as an industry, shot the White House so many times that there's actually like just White House furniture and things that you order that it's like the predetermined stuff because everyone, it's a very photographed building. So that was something that was exciting, was watching those sets come together and those pieces. And, we're recreating the roof of the White House. We're recreating all these hallways for various action for Jerry B. That's where I became a butthead, as Zoe calls him. But as I'm getting I don't know where she got that sign from, but
I was
Heather's
saying wrap it up, Jed.
well, it's a light up sign. I'm just curious where you got it. So anyway, that said, thank you everybody for coming today. We don't have Zoe here, but I feel like she's here in spirit. Zoe, Are you there?
Do you like what we're doing here? Do you have thoughts, comments, questions? Maybe you have an idea or suggestion for topics you want to hear about? Well, you can find us on the intrawebs. You can email us at filmfolklorepodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on the social medias, Instagram being Film Folklore Podcast. We have a Facebook group called Film Folklore, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at The Film Folk. And yeah, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, everybody.